Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and this evening we'll have a look at the GFS ensembles, and then we'll have again another detailed look at the thunderstorms we could be seeing through Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, and then we will finally have a look at the weather warnings as well that are in force. Do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you do like and subscribe. Do remember to follow me on Twitter as well. I'll also be doing an update tomorrow morning on the Atlantic hurricane season, as it's looking like it's starting to fire up with some depressions looking like they're going to be forming very soon, and there's a lot of areas of interest, a tropical wave coming in off of Africa, so make sure you do subscribe and stay tuned for that, as I'll be looking at tomorrow morning. But first, we'll have a look at the GFS, and you can see on the latest GFS, we've got this ridge of high pressure building, but you can see this little trough towards Portugal, and that's what is going to be causing the thunderstorms through Wednesday and Thursday. You see that trough sort of sits around before heading northwards, spreading into the UK, bringing those thunderstorms. But an area of low pressure is going to be running in off the Atlantic, which is going to be pushing away the warm air. Now, it's all about timings with these thunderstorms. The more hot and humid air that is injected into the UK, the more likely the big lightning activity is going to be spreading further northwards and further westwards. At the moment, it's looking like it's particularly probably be particularly concentrated. The lightning and the thundery essence of the heavy rain is going to probably be in the east and the southeast at this stage, as we'll look at sort of Cape charts and precipitation charts towards the end of the video. It definitely does look like it's favoured in the east at this stage, but you can't rule out thunderstorms further westwards as well. It really depends on the timeline, because you see this low pressure with this hot humid air pushing up from the south, heading into the UK, but that cold front coming in off the UK pushes it away, and you see this hot humid air goes out towards sort of Scandinavia, and we go back into a fresher feel. So it really does depend on how much that hot and humid air does get in and its timeline with that low pressure system. There's another brief little low pressure system forms on Friday, which again is an area of interest for thunderstorms through Friday into Saturday before that clears, and again another system potentially running up from the south. But again, the hot and humid air is sort of run out by then, so perhaps more just rain widely, and again quite unsettled, it does look like, as we head towards day 10. High pressure does look like it's going to be building back in, but you can see there is sort of a little upper level trough, which does mean there's probably going to be some cloud around and probably some precipitation. But it's quite an uncertain signal even into the long term, and as we head up to sort of 384 hours, sort of got northerly winds coming in, but again nothing too cold and too unsettled, just nothing too warm either. You can see there's a lot of hot air over Europe, and if we did pull up a southerly wind with this, we could be seeing some very interesting conditions, so we'll have to keep an eye on how the end of June into early July does develop. If we do have a look at the GFS ensembles, if we look at the temperature and precipitation, you can see over the next sort of 2 days or so, it's going to be quite dry, and temperature is going to be generally quite warm. Cold front is going to be sweeping through southwards over the next sort of 12 to 24 hours, and it's going to bring a brief ridge of cooler air, but hot air, humid air is going to be returning in behind, which is going to be fueling these big thunderstorms and big precipitation spikes you can see. It definitely does look like there's going to be some very heavy rain around Wednesday into Friday. The only sort of caveat we have at this stage is how much lightning activity there is going to be. That's one which you have to really watch, and it does look like it's going to be very much a nowcast situation, where sort of the lightning and the cells are going to be popping up. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But it does look like there's going to be widespread, pretty heavy rain, especially in the east and sort of central England. Beyond that, there's still a lot of precipitation around, as we saw in those GFS. On that GFS one, that low sort of sits to our south, becomes less thundery, as you can see the air is a little bit cooler, but again, you can't rule out some thunderstorms within that, and probably some heavy rain. In the longer term, though, you see temperatures around average, and there's more of a drier signal, but nothing suggesting it's going to be completely dry. Still some ensemble members with precipitation, so we'll just have to see what the longer term trends turn out to be. But it's going to be very interesting weather conditions over the next week or so, as we could still see 30 degrees or so on Wednesday before those thunderstorms and showers and heavy rain that does arrive. We did see 29.6 degrees, I think it was today, in London, which is the highest temperature of the year. So unfortunately we haven't reached 30 degrees yet. It did look quite likely that either yesterday or today we're going to reach 30 degrees, but I did see some reports that some cumulus clouds were popping up around sort of the Midlands and the southeast, which has sort of held back temperatures a little bit, especially in the southeast. But we've had quite a big split today, quite cool and cold in the north, with that cold front spreading through, but all areas probably be turning a little bit warmer over the next couple of days before we do start to see that breakdown. So first, with the precipitation charts, we'll have a look at the GFS. Now, the GFS won't be sort of modelling this too accurately as it's coming into the shorter range now, so we'd probably ideally look at very short range models, but we'll just look at the GFS for the general outlook. So we can see that cold front sweeping through Tuesday into Wednesday, and it sort of decays, and then we see those thunderstorms heading up from the south, and you can see where sort of the epicenter of these storms is likely to be in central and eastern England, sort of around the London area, into heading into East Anglia as well. It's likely that's where the lightning activity is going to be, but again, it could shift slightly, but that's what the main focus is at the moment, looking at the sort of the Cape charts as well. Now, further westwards, you can't rule out a few isolated thunderstorms, but it does look like most of the energy is going to be with that hot and humid air, and it is really uncertain how far west it's going to progress. Beyond that, through Thursday night, it does turn a bit dry before we do see more thunderstorms head up from the south with that other area of low pressure into Friday, and we see more widespread storms, again in similar locations across the south coast, heading into East Anglia as well, before slowly decaying away through Saturday. But again, still could be some heavy rain around, even for those areas that don't see storms. And once again, potentially some more French imports there. They do look like they do decay as they reach the UK, but again, more French imports, potentially with some thunderstorms. So as always, we need to keep an eye on those, as if they do maintain their intensity, they could be as vicious as sort of a homegrown storm. If we do have a look now at the GM, again, the GM does underplay precipitation a bit, but it just still gives a good outlook, and it gives us sort of a broad range of models to see what the consensus is. So after we head through Wednesday afternoon, you can see the storms starting to develop through Wednesday afternoon, sort of in the Channel and towards northern France. They do head northwards, and GM does have it placed a bit further westwards, interestingly. Now, that would indicate that the warmer air and the instability has progressed a bit further westwards. So there are still some thunderstorms in the east, but the main sort of big band of rain, and we're going to see the heaviest rain, with probably some embedded thunderstorms within it, is heading further westwards through sort of the West Midlands, Northwest England. So again, I do suspect the GM is an outlier, pushing it at sort of 100 miles further westwards, but we'll just really have to keep an eye on that over the next couple of days, as again, I very much doubt we can have exactly pinpointed until the storms do start to develop, simply because of the convective nature and sort of very subtle wind directions can change sort of the outlook of these storms. Beyond that, we see some more storms forming in northern France through Thursday afternoon, and then we do see some storms head up into the east. So again, showing the storms much further eastwards on this GM run, clipping sort of southeast Kent and a larger area of rain spreading in to central areas as well, before clearing away and turning more of an influence off the Atlantic. If we have a look at the icon run, now this is a more short range model, so it should be able to forecast this a little bit better. So if we do run through sort of through Wednesday, see that decaying weather front, and then we see those big storms heading up from the south, forming sort of Wednesday afternoon in the northern France, but really intensifying through the Channel, heading again. The epicenter of these storms do look like sort of the London area into East Anglia and sort of the East Midlands as well through overnight Thursday. Again, storms potentially again across the south coast and even stretching further westwards as well. And if you do miss out on these storms, it's likely that you will see some heavy rain with that as well. Probably, good for watering the gardens after you've had quite a warm spell recently. Now, don't be too discouraged if you do enjoy thunderstorms and it does look like you're going to be slightly missing out. Because again, thunderstorms are probably one of the most difficult sort of weather phenomenon to predict, along with snow generally. Normally snow is an issue in the UK simply because of sort of freezing levels and temperatures. In the UK, it's normally about sort of instability levels and how much convection we do see with these thunderstorms. It does look like there is going to be a big mass of rain, but just where that instability and that convection really does pop off is still unknown. Just does look at the moment the highest chance is in this sort of central and eastern areas of the country. If we do run through this again through Thursday into Friday, we do see another band of heavy thunderstorms move up from the south with that low pressure system. That could be sort of a line of thunderstorms there. So interesting to see that. That's sort of like an American sort of system where we see sort of line convection with thunderstorms. Again, does slowly decay as it reaches the UK and heads northwards, but there does just like definitely a core of storms heading through central areas, even getting further westwards into parts of Wales as well, and sort of central southern England. So again, if you do miss out on storms on Thursday, it does look like there's going to be another batch of storms moving up through Friday into Saturday. Now, they are going to be overnight. Looking at these sort of charts, they do look like some of these storms are definitely going to be overnight. Still probably lasting through the day, but just look at the timings at the moment. It does look like overnight. So if you're not directly overhead from a storm, you probably will be able to see lightning from quite a distance. So could be quite an interesting few nights there. If we do briefly have a look at the UK Met Office run, now this is the run that the UK Met will be mainly using for issuing warnings, and this will they'll be basing their forecast you see on their YouTube channel or their app, or even the automated app will be looking at this data. So if we do run through it, you see a few showers in Northern Scotland, weather fronts move through Tuesday, but do decay. And then if we do have a look through Wednesday morning, nothing really too much showing up. But then we do see this, the first thunderstorms form around 6 o'clock on Wednesday. Through the evening, heavy thunderstorms through central England, heading northeastwards. And again, you see that epicentre of storms does look like it's around the London area, into Kent, East Anglia. Again, some isolated storms further westwards as well. And again, a broader area of rain. And those thunderstorms do move through, mainly in the eastern areas. But again, you see there are thunderstorms in northern areas and western areas as well. Probably likely to be sort of single-celled storms and more isolated, rather than this sort of complex system that we're likely to see through eastern England, where we like to see quite organised convection. But you could still see some decent storms through Thursday, and as we head into Friday, again another line of storms potentially moving up, but decaying as it reaches through central England before another batch of storms, sort of another system moves through, again, central England into eastern England as well, quite intense within this band of rain and storms, moving northeastwards and eventually clearing the country. Now we'll have a look at some Cape charts and some precipitation charts from Meteo Seal. So we'll have a look at first at the WRF, which I've looked at quite frequently. So if we have a look at the Cape charts, we do see there's very little Cape around at the moment. That's why we've got some such dry conditions. But as we head through Wednesday, you see Cape building across France, and then we do see Cape forming in central England. So it does look like the WRF is predicting that's where the thunderstorms could really maintain its energy. But you can see the Cape is quite strong across the Channel and northern France. So this will probably be showing storms forming in towards the Channel and northern France, and it's just really how they hold on to their strength and how organised they are as they head through England and Wales. You see that Cape through Thursday morning does spread into southeastern areas, and again re-strengthens through Tuesday afternoon in East Anglia as well. So it does look like, again, that epicentre of storms is likely to be sort of in this central England into East Anglia as well. You can see quite localised, quite strong Cape there. Now again, I've seen these charts over the last few days, and they have been fluctuating in exact position of these Cape charts, so we're just going to have to really keep an eye on them. But at the moment, the model consensus is definitely does look like in the east is probably going to be where the precipitation and thunderstorms are likely to pop up. So if we do run through the precipitation charts on the WRF, you can see storms start to form Wednesday night, even some homegrown potentially showers and storms there. But then you see those big storms form early Tuesday morning with that increased Cape, and actually do really increase intensity through Thursday morning. And actually through sort of Thursday mid-morning, we do see thunderstorms at their sort of peak intensity. So a couple hours later than the UK Met Office run that we were looking at a minute ago. You can see intense storms moving up and heading northwards, and then some more storms on its back edge heading up from the south. So you can see it does look like widespread storms. Again, some showers further westwards. Again, difficult to say whether there will be thunderstorms or just sort of convection-based showers where don't see too much lightning. But again, we could just see how the difference in all the models. But it really is sort of that central England, East England that we've got to watch. So we'll briefly have a look at the arpège run. Now, I'm showing the arpège run because it's showing something different to what the other models are showing. So it just shows you the sort of the uncertainty there still is even at this time range. So if we head through to Wednesday, you can see there is strong cape in northern France, but there's very weak cape actually heading into England. You can see there is some cape in central England, sort of southeastern areas into Kent as well. So it is showing that sort of epicenter we've been looking at throughout this video, showing up for cape, but really not too much cape through Thursday. Again, a little bit in Kent and sort of eastern England, potentially for some pop-up storms there. But then generally that cape through Friday does miss us quite far eastward. So the arpège is showing quite a different scenario, with everything pushed a little bit further eastward. So obviously the cold front that's spreading in through Wednesday into Thursday will be pushed will push through just a little bit quicker, meaning we don't get those strong storms. If we do have a look at precipitation, if we do have a look through sort of Wednesday morning, you can see there is that low pressure system and there is that rain, but it hasn't got its electricity with it. It's generally just heavy rain, and you can see it's quite low down on the precipitation sort of scale. Heavy rain, yes, but doesn't look too much in the terms of lightning activity. And what you'd want for lightning activity is probably these sort of orange and yellow chart colours, where we're seeing really just dark greens, getting to some light greens as well. So definitely does look like on the arpège is going to be heavy, widespread rain, but not the electricity that we've been seeing on the other models. So just one caveat there, that even though it is looking encouraging for widespread storms and there are Met Office warnings issued that we'll look at in a minute, it still could sort of be a non-event when we do see just a general area of heavy rain. All depends on what happens with that cape and how much hot and humid air does mix into this low pressure system. But beyond that, you can see again, showers and thunderstorms do try to spread in to the southeast, but again, those main cells are off the coast in sort of Netherlands and Belgium, and we do see sort of East Anglia seeing some heavy rain, but not really seeing those big thunderstorms. So again, very interesting looking at the arpège run. So finally, we'll just have a brief look at the weather warning. Now, it hasn't changed today. It's likely to probably change either tomorrow or Wednesday, simply because it probably will be refined. I suspect it'll either be shrunk down, this yellow warning, or we will see an amber warning enforced in sort of eastern England or southeastern England. Just really depends on what sort of what sort of comes up in the models overnight tonight into tomorrow, and what the Met Office operational meteorologist really sees with the chances. Again, looking at those charts, it's too uncertain at this stage I'd say to probably issue an amber warning. But looking at the intensity and the amount of rainfall we could be seeing, I do suspect an amber warning could be enforced. And again, looking at how the epicenter of these storms is likely to be in eastern areas, I do suspect they could shrink this thunderstorm warning down a bit. But it really does depend on what happens with the models tomorrow. If the models tomorrow are still quite uncertain with the exact positioning, I do suspect this yellow warning could stay in force widely, and we could see a very small amber warning enforced once the storm sort of develop through Wednesday. But again, it really depends on what happens with the models overnight. It's very difficult forecasting storms in this country, as we do see a lot of French imports. A lot of the times, it really depends on quite a small area of cape or small area of hot and humid air. So again, very difficult, but hopefully we do see something interesting over the next few days for any storm lovers across the UK. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.